You're listening to The Luxury Item, the podcast on the business of luxury and the people and companies that are shaping the future of the luxury industry. Here's your host, Scott Kerr.
Swiss watchmakers have been facing headwinds from a sharp decline in demand, especially in China, following an unprecedented boom during the post-pandemic era when consumers rushed to buy luxury timepieces. Despite the slowdown, many Swiss watch executives are optimistic about the industry and the export market, that this is just a sharp reset and normalization of growth. One of the leading Swiss watchmakers is Zenith. Zenith is a watch brand synonymous with precision, innovation, and timeless craftsmanship. For over a century and a half, Zenith has been a beacon of excellence in the world of horology, producing some of the most celebrated timepieces in history. My guest on the luxury item is Benoit de Clerck, Chief Executive Officer of Zenith Watches. Bringing over 25 years of executive experience and watchmaking expertise to Zenith as its CEO, Benoit has led global sales in the luxury watch market across 4 continents. Before being named CEO of Zenith, Benoit was Panerai's Chief Commercial Officer and IWC's President of North America. Today, Benoit is continuing to build on Zenith's success over the past few years and elaborate the numerous innovations it has brought forth, including cutting-edge chronographs and high-precision chronometers. Welcome to the luxury item, Benoit.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining me. Zenith has a fascinating history, one that dates back to 1865. Its founder, Georges Favre Jacot, was a 22-year-old watch apprentice in Le Locle, Switzerland, when he established the brand. It wasn't called Zenith at the time. He pioneered the idea of vertically integrated Swiss watchmaking, the first watch manufacturer, if you will, whereby bringing the various disciplines of horology under one roof, as opposed to different parts made in different small workshops before being delivered to another workshop for assembly into a finished watch, which was common at the time. He was most renowned for creating timepieces of uncommon reliability and accuracy. I mean, you don't get to be a 160-year-old brand unless you are consistently delivering on your philosophy and brand promise that started at the beginning of that journey. So what exactly was that philosophy?
First of all, the 160 years, it's a lot. 22 years is very little. So this is definitely the basis of the philosophy, and his philosophy was to create the most reliable and precise watch as possible at that time. At 22 years old, that's a really spirit of entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have to be an entrepreneur. You have to be daring, because this is risk related as well. And I like the category of no fear, and this is how, with no fear and daring entrepreneur, this is how you nurture the entrepreneur spirits and innovative spirits. And this is, I think, this is the philosophy. At least this is the way I look at it.
And that's carried over through the last 160 years. And that's sort of the mindset of everybody that works at the company.
Exactly. And we're not the only one the only watch brand celebrating 160 years, but you are definitely amongst the very few celebrating 160 years within the same premise, the same factory and all that, despite, natural catastrophes, wars, disasters, and the like. The manufacturer Zenith is in Le Locle in Switzerland and has not moved and uninterrupted, and this is very important. This makes a lot of credibility and legacy per se, because it's important that this is the way it went through, and this is very important, and we are extremely and deeply rooted in our brand identity, by delivering excellence, savoir-faire, the savoir-faire we have in our manufacturer is amazing.
And Zenith is known for its high-precision chronograph movements. It's part of its DNA and heritage, as I mentioned. The El Primero movement from Zenith, which launched in 1969, was the first automatic chronograph in the world, and it considered one of the most accurate and sophisticated mechanical chronograph movements in the industry. It was really a game changer for Zenith. Can you talk about the birth of the El Primero movement and why it's been so significant to the Zenith brand over the last 50 plus years?
Sure. I mean, Zenith is notorious, well-known, famous for El Primero. And El Primero was a real game changer in the watchmaking industry and platform and environment. And, it was the first high-frequency automatic chronograph movement. And it continues today, ironically, but seriously as well. It continues to be a benchmark for performance and precision. We have, a lot of visits of professionals who come and visit our factory. Hey guys, can we know this? Can we do this? Can we, we have a lot of requests as well. How can you collaborate? Because, El Primero is now definitely a benchmark in the chronograph and in the chronograph segment of movement, and we won a lot of prizes. We are known for that, and this is very important as well, and this is where it was created. This is where it's done, and this is where Zenith is known. Zenith is known for a movement manufacturer and a brand. You see what I mean? But the movement is there, and this is the backbone of the brand. We did more than El Primero, but El Primero is definitely one of the backbone and the pillar.
And you moved over from Zenith as CEO earlier in the year. You came over from the Richemont Group's luxury watch brand Panerai, where you were chief commercial officer. The move was all part of a bigger series of executive appointments within the LVMH watch division. It signaled LVMH wants to elevate and upgrade the Maisons to ensure sustained growth and innovation, as well as engaging a younger, affluent demographic. What were some of the motivating factors that drew you over to Zenith?
I can tell you, I lost a lot of sleep over the decision. I have to admit, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, they're both great groups. I had a great job. I'm thankful for what Richemont has given me in the past. I left in very good terms. That's very important, and I left in with a very clear conscience as well. Having said that, LVMH has offered me that position, and I wanted the job as a CEO because I was challenged by all the touch point of the job. And this is what made me decide, you know what, I can have the all those touch points as a CEO, thing that I did not have when I was at Richemont and Panerai. Although I worked very well with the CEO of Panerai, Jean-Marc Controuet, we worked hand in hand. We were in agreement, not always, but we were mostly in agreement. But I was very much exposed, and I thank him at the same time. But I was not the final decision maker, and now I am the final decision maker with my team. And this is what motivated me. This is what pushed me to shift from Richemont in my position, but to join LVMH. And then what I like in LVMH today, and what attracted me, is the entrepreneur spirit that you have today at LVMH. I can tell you today, I'm an entrepreneur. With all the pluses and the negative, with all the risk and the advantages that there are, but I can tell you sometimes I feel alone as an entrepreneur. And you take a decision and say, oh, did I take the right decision? But this is the fun part as well, and this is what I like about my new job at LVMH, because you can be and you can remain an entrepreneur.
And you've been in the luxury watch business for a while. And you knew obviously of the Zenith brand. So what surprised you most about Zenith after you joined the brand?
Good question, Scott. I mean, I thought I knew Zenith, but when I joined the company, 2, 3 days later, I said, "Oh my God, I didn't know Zenith was so much, so much in heritage, so much in history, so much in authenticity. Everything is there. 1 mile of archives. The job is just to remove the dust on this archive, And to be honest with you, we still have to do a lot of work to capitalize on this archive, but it's there. So it's very authentic. The history. I thought I knew, but to know Zenith, you have to come and visit the manufacturer. And this is definitely an eye-opener, and I was flabbergasted by the history, the heritage, the authenticity of the brand. And this is really something great. This is on the sentimental aspect, but on the tangible aspect, we have a team that's extremely motivated, passionate, and it's all about people. If you count the hours, I can tell you we don't count the hours at Zenith, because we work out of passion as well. So this is what really surprised me in a positive way. So really something that I really enjoyed and surprised me when I joined Zenith. So I thought I knew, but in fact I didn't know until I really tasted it.
What surprised you about when you spoke to the customers?
It depends on the countries, but for example, in Italy, every person that I spoke to, oh, my grandfather had a Zenith, oh, my grandmother had a Zenith, the notoriety of the brand, the awareness of the brand is there. And I didn't realize that it was so big and deep rooted within many countries, be it France, be it Switzerland, be it Japan, be it America, even in America, So all over the world, you have a lot of the brand has definitely a very strong name and a very clean name. But again, to come back to the first conversation, whereby El Primero, the movement, comes back into the picture, whereby the brand is known for its movement.
And Zenith has had several leadership changes just in the past 10 years, each with different visions and different strategies and different ways of thinking. And so while the brand has been seeing some great growth momentum and success these days, is it hard to forge a focused path for the brand, starting from a place where I'll call it different executive chefs have overseen the recipes and the menus?
You're pointing it, I would say touche in a way. It is it is a challenge, I'll be honest with you, it's a challenge, because the brand is 160 years old next year, because we have so much history, so much heritage. We have to dig and to get inspired by that. And the my job with the team is to transform that history and that heritage into something much more modern. And this is where this is the fun part of the job, where
Right.
really it's fun. But as well, the priorities is number one, what I just said. The secondly is to capitalize on the savoir-faire. Because we're known of the movement, but we're known of many other movements, we have a savoir-faire that a lot of brands envy. A lot of brands envy. And the fact that we have a mile of archive, that we've been there in the same factory for 160 years. Of course we added buildings, but we've been there in the same location for 160 years, and this transpires a lot of authenticity. And it's what you see is what you get, but it's
Yeah.
a serious brand, and Zenith is about seriousness and being a serious brand. And this is definitely something, the priorities that I want to carry forward and bring forward intentionally, because this is part of it. We are part of it, and this is what it has been for the last 160 years. We're celebrating 160 years next year, but my job with the team is to make sure that we celebrate another 160 years ahead of the game.
At the annual LVMH Watch Week in Miami earlier this year, Zenith launched its Chronomaster triple calendar, featuring a triple calendar moon phase chronograph inspired by its rare prototype El Primero watch from 1970. You also launched a new Chronomaster Sport in Green, which has been the hottest color for luxury watches in recent years. This was also a gem set model. How do these watches fit into Zenith's overall strategy?
So there are two questions. I mean, there are two things. The first one is the Chronomaster triple calendar. The Chronomaster triple calendar that we launched at the beginning of the year at LVMH Watch Week in Miami is what we call a complication. There are very few brands that have this triple calendar complication, and the triple calendar complication is the entry point of the perpetual calendar. The complication of so this is the entry point. You have the triple calendar, the perpetual calendar, and then the annual calendar, and many and few, not many, but few others. And we wanted to give an opportunity to our existing Zenith customers or collectors to be able to enter the segment of complicated watches. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we priced it at intentionally to make sure that they get a lot of watch for the money. And this is, I can tell you, this is mission accomplished, because we have new customers buying that triple calendar, and existing customer as well. You see, and
Mm-hmm.
this was the missing part to bridge, or let's say to make the bridge into complicated watches, because we are well known as well for very complicated watches like the the G-Force
Right.
and the Zero G and the Zero G and the like, and so this is one part of the answer, which is the Chronomaster triple calendar. When it comes to the Chronomaster Sport and the green one, the beauty of Zenith is that we can do it. Number one, we can do it. We're known again for the Chronomaster Sport, and adding a high frequency in El Primero caliber within the colors that we wish, it's an asset, you know. And having the green color, it's I can tell you we're sold out. You know, I have
Yeah.
no shame to say, you know, we're sold out. So it was a success. It was the right thing to do, and we managed to give an opportunity to customers who wanted to venture into the green color with that Chronomaster Sports.
It's been a busy year for Zenith. What other new watch releases, complications, or features this year have been pivotal in raising the bar for the brand?
I wish I could tell you everything.
I know the ones that stick out in your mind that
What's important, you know, what we will be, you know, uh, next year will be a strong statement, but it will
yeah.
be again an authentic statement. You know, it's not going to be fireworks and mega gala dinners and you know,
Oh, you're talking about for the 160th anniversary.
exactly. We
Yeah.
will link that. You know, we will link that as well to new releases and new complication coming along. You know, the objective is, you know, we're limited by the production. We need to remain true to ourselves. You know, it's all a matter of managing excellence, performance, reliability as well, while being modern and elegant. You know, so
Yeah.
that's the way we do it. I wish I could tell you more exactly, but if I could tell you, stay tuned, stay with us, you won't be disappointed.
Back in 2020, it looked like the watch industry was likely to be hit by harder than most industries, with the pandemic shutting down factories, furloughing hard to replace watchmakers, and boutiques shutting shop across the globe. The luxury watch industry rebounded quickly and led to an unprecedented boom for the industry. With international travel off the cards, the well-heeled of the world instead chose to pour money into collecting watches. With most people at home on the internet scrolling through Instagram and TikTok and other social media platforms, did it give rise to more people finally discovering Zenith watches for the first time and give the brand the spark it needed?
Absolutely. I mean, this without any doubt. You know, COVID-19 was a terrible time for all of us, but definitely an eye opener. And for me, was the creation of the chief technical officer, you know, the CTO. Because of COVID, we had to be much more technical and embrace the new technologies, and definitely faster, because those technologies were there, but they were amplified and to be used much faster, you know. So we had to be much more agile. We had to be much more flexible as well. And we built, I know I wasn't there, but we built the website very quickly in order to make sure that, you know, we could address the demand of
Mhm.
customers staying home and wanted to treat themselves, you know, and wanted to have something nice to treat themselves. Definitely, COVID has contributed to have the brand more visible and more visible on your phone, on your computer, and all that. And today, in our boutiques, I would say 70, and we know we have the statistic, but around 70 to 80% of our customers getting into our boutiques, they know what they want. They
Mhm.
have, you know, they have done their research on internet, but they come to the boutique and they know exactly what they want, you know. And this is very, and this is done beforehand, you know, and this is very important. And you know, and that's how you adapt. You have to remain relevant, and you have to adapt to the situation. But it was definitely for the brands and luxury, definitely a CTO approach, that is a chief technical officer, because you really have to become technically relevant.
So I want to talk about the Swiss luxury watch market. Sales of Swiss-made luxury watches are in a sharp retreat as nervous consumers reconsider splashing out on expensive timepieces. China and Hong Kong, two crucial markets for Swiss watchmakers, continue to drag down the market. It's been a stunning reversal of fortune for an industry that enjoyed unprecedented sales boom during the pandemic. How has Zenith been faring through the downturn?
You know, I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, we at Zenith, we're privileged because our revenue come from three region: Asia,
Mhm.
Europe, and Americas. The beauty of Zenith is that we are almost equal in terms of percentage. You know, almost, let's say, Asia 35, 36%, Europe around 30%, and a bit more in the US. So we're on that front, we're okay. Yes, China is suffering along with the countries around China, but we still have a very positive momentum in Japan, for example, and the
Hmm.
brand historically been very strong in Japan, and we experience strong momentum in Japan today. Today, another positive, pocket of growth is the Middle East. In the Middle East, we are still in the green and we're still growing. And we are in the dark green positive in Americas. And this is definitely good news. It is
Yeah.
definitely compensating on the downturn, but not enough. I'll be honest with you. We are today in the pink. We're not in the dark red. We're in
Yeah.
the pink, no light red. And some months we're in the light green, not enough to my taste, but it's the reality, But we are adapting. We are being very agile to this. We are, adapting, of course, production on one hand. We are being very smart about it, and we know that it's a cycle. And in this day and age, cycles are recurrent and even more recurrent.
Right.
We all read the newspaper, we all watch TV, we know what's happening a few miles away from Muscat, a few miles away from Switzerland, and there are catastrophes happening right, left, and center. So, and not in our control. So we adapt, but we are navigating, the downturn. But I can guarantee you, in America, we are in very good shape. We are in very good shape, and it's helping us to compensate the loss that we have in China and Hong Kong, for that matter, and a little bit Macau. So it's the reality. But again, it's not a catastrophe. We adapt. We and efforts are. We're putting our efforts in different in other direction. But again, we're here to stay. It's not the first crisis, and it's not the
Yeah.
last crisis.
Yeah, I mean, that's you and your fellow executives, luxury watch executives are saying the same thing. It's about a cycle, it's normalization. Everybody's optimistic. It's just, having to live through this cycle now before you get to the end of the tunnel.
Exactly, and then and if this is the new normal in 6 months, be it. Again, we'll adapt.
The luxury watch market demand has been boosted by a younger generation of buyers. The younger generation has more economic power than any generation that preceded them. They're earning more, saving more, and investing earlier at a higher rate than previous generations. On top of that, they're poised to be on the receiving end of a massive wealth transfer in the coming 2 decades, and they're reshaping the luxury watch market. What do you think the best strategy is for Zenith to capture the hearts, minds, and risks of younger watch buyers?
We spend a lot of money on analyzing our customers. We do a lot of research as well because we aim for the future. And I can tell you, Gen Z, millennials, and Gen A, for that matter, they have access to internet, and the internet is definitely a source of information, and they know a lot, and they're becoming much more exposed, and therefore interested in high-end mechanical watches. What is clear today, what we see in terms of trend is, and that I see in terms of trend, is that the trend of bling bling and very visible and all that is no more the flavor these days.
Mm-hmm.
What customers are looking at today is authenticity, something real, something that they can relate to, and not necessarily big mega brands, but something that speaks to them and that's relevant for them. And the research, when they report, when they share the research with us, they say Zenith has a big chance and a big role to play here, because we are all about authenticity, and we're all about heritage, and something, again, a lot of watch for the money, because we are Zenith, we have the movement, and so on and so forth. And then these customers, these Gen Z or millennial or Gen A, they're very educated, and I can tell you statistically, in our boutiques, we have more and more younger enthusiasts and collectors are definitely getting younger, and they know a lot, and they discover Zenith on new things, on podcast, wink wink, on internet, on discussions, and this is what they like because it's authentic. This is very important. And we know that we have an increasing number of visitors on our website, on our, our Instagram is booming, our TikTok is booming, our, and then when you look at independent sources, like for example, without saying the word, but for example, Reddit, we know that these are natural. We don't have any control of this,
Right.
and we know that there's more and more discussions, more and more enthusiasts that are talking about the brand, and this is for us very interesting. And we look at it, and the thing here is to continue to build the strong emotional connection that we have with Zenith. Zenith is a brand for people in the know. This is for sure, and it's not the first brand. Probably not the first brand they will buy. We know statistically is the second or the third brand they buy.
Yeah. And if you think about your founder, is 22 years old when he founded the company. And I think a lot of young people can relate to that as well.
Absolutely, and I can tell you, I use the age of the founder when I have to do speeches at universities or in schools and stuff like that. I use this as a benchmark. Guys, he did it at 20 years.
Yeah,
20 years.
right.
Why can't you do it? It's the essence of the entrepreneurship.
Yeah, no question. And the fastest growing segment of luxury watches is women's watches. Female collectors are finding their voice in the male dominated luxury watch world. The watchmaking industry seems to be making genuine efforts to listen to women and make watches they actually want to wear. First of all, what percent of Zenith's clientele are women? And where would you like to see that number moving forward?
The percentage is growing. 4 or 5 years ago, we were roughly between 5 to 7%. Today, sales of Zenith for women is close to 20-25%. So we almost multiply by 4 the share of women in Zenith, which is great. I'm very happy, very proud, and this is great. And we have the opportunity to be in touch with women. They're listening as well. They're exposed. They see their watch on the wrist of their boyfriend, hubby, or husband, and they take the watch. I can tell
Yeah.
you an anecdote. The second day I came from Zenith, which was January 5 or January 7, and I put my watch next to my bedside table, and needless to say that my first Zenith watch ended up on the wrist of my wife. So that's but that's the reality. And women today are again educated. They know what they want, and they're hungry for complicated watches. You'd be surprised to know how women today know what they have in their watch, and they know it's a Zenith, and they know it's high frequency, and they definitely know more than some of our salespeople, and this is very important because they're proud they're proud. And look, if I do the analogy of luxury cars and fast cars today, without saying names, they sell the share of women is increasing,
Yeah.
and that's important for us. And this is where we see a great strengths and great versatility in our collection, and this is very important because again, we are timeless, and that makes very, very inclusive to the brand and to men and women. And today women are interested in complicated watches, and that's fun because Zenith is here for them.
And we were talking a little bit about this earlier about speaking to customers, and I'm sure your travels, you've spoken to a lot of collectors and enthusiasts who know the brand inside and out. What are they saying about Zenith that's motivating you about the brand? You touched a little bit about it earlier, but have they said anything about what they'd like to see more from Zenith?
It's true, I travel a lot. It's true, I speak a lot to customers, to retailers, to journalists, to podcasters as well, because it's very important, to get some information, to get the feel of the market. That's very
Yeah.
important. But at the end of the day, it's impossible for a brand to do what the market wants 100%. But we are definitely in all ears to what the market says, and this is we have a task force. We have regular meeting with collectors and all that, and retailers and partners to make sure that we are in the market, and this is very important, very important. But at the end of the day, we create what we think is correct for the brand, what needs to be done for the brand, and we don't want to go too quickly either. And we are, we're limited as well by the number of watches we do. So we cannot do a gazillion number of watches.
Yeah. In the luxury world, it's not just about the watch. It's also about how the watch finds its way onto customers' wrists. Zenith has about 45 boutiques and partners with a number of authorized retailers around the world. Whether the client relationship with Zenith brand is a hit or miss really depends on the retailer. How do you work with your massive authorized dealer network to ensure they're creating value for Zenith at that touch point?
So first of all, we're very selective. We're very selective with our distribution. Number one, we are in permanent contact today, no later than this afternoon for lunch. I had a Zoom call with 81 partners from Italy, Greece, and Spain. And these were our retailers, our partners, and asking questions. They had some questions. I had some questions, and we have an open communication, and this is definitely something that they like. And I got WhatsApp later, hey, thank you for this was very trustful. This is a trustful relationship that we have with you, and all that. This is very important. Now, the boutiques are important, because the boutique network will continue to grow, but in a smart way, in a very cautious way as well, because the beauty of the boutique is that you can express the brand in a much better way than in a multi-brand environments.
Right.
Multi-brand environments are very important as well. Don't get me wrong, but we have to have the correct mix between the two, and we will continue to have boutiques, but we'll continue to have multi-brand environment. This is very important because you can share, you can represent much more of the brand, and this is very important, and how do you create value? I mean, we have an open communication. This is definitely very important. We do a lot of training, we do a lot of training, and we're very cautious with the choice we do with our partners. I want to make sure that Zenith is important for them to a certain extent. Okay, of course, I cannot be as important as the Mammoth brand and all that, but I need to be relevant and important for them. The match has to come naturally. If they like the brand, if you're important for them, it will be a no-brainer. It will be much easier. But the beauty of Zenith and why we are demanded in multi-brand environment is that we offer a complicated watch with a great movement, with 100% sustain, and so on and so forth, with all those parameters for the price, and this is great. It's something that we're very proud of, and we will continue to capitalize on that.
Several years ago, Zenith was the first Swiss watchmaking manufacturer to officially open itself to the public, allowing watch lovers and novices alike to get a glimpse of the brand's watchmaking heritage. Why was it important for the brand to start having factory visits to see how Zenith watches are made?
The best example is myself. I thought I knew the brand. I arrived into the brand. 2 days later, I spent half a day with the archivist, half a day with the person in charge of the museum that we have in our factory, and I was completely again astonished by the richness of that, and the fact that you can visit the manufacturer makes a big difference, because again, it's all about authenticity, Scott. You need it's tangible, and this is very important, and it is all about the Zenith DNA, because we've been there for 160 years, and then
Right.
we can show all the watches that we've had. We can show the family spirit that we have as well. We have the movement. We have a lot of things, authentic things that we can share. And clear questions. A lot of people come with questions. Oh, well, how did you do this? How we do that? And we can explain in a much better way. It breaks barriers, and it breaks, myth about the brand, and it's a great tool. Visiting the manufacturer that we have, it's a great tool to assess and to confirm our authenticity, and this is very important.
Yeah, transparency is key.
Absolutely.
You've described Zenith in an interview as not a big brand and not a small brand. It's like an adolescent brand. So do you see a day when Zenith becomes a mega brand, or can Zenith thrive for the next 160 years as what I'll call a mature adolescent?
So definitely, I mean, being an adolescent is a tough time because you're not big, you're not small, and I definitely believe that this is exactly the situation we're in today. We're not a small brand, but we have the ambition of the big brand, and we're not I don't think we'll ever be a mega brand, because first of all, we're limited, by our production, number
Right.
one, the movement, and we will continue to produce our own movement, so that's very important. And we'll continue to do only the Zenith movement and produce our own movements. So that's very important. Of course, if the demand grows and all that, we will try to adapt, but there's no way, and I don't foresee the Zenith becoming a mega brand. Yes. Can we double the turnover today? Yes. Can we triple? Yes. But can we multiply it by 20? I don't think so. I don't think so. I would love to. I'm sure our shareholder would love to. But
Right.
and our shareholder is here for the long term, and I can tell you the relationship I have with Frédéric Arnaud, my boss. It's very long term. It's very entrepreneurial, very long term, and it's based on strong foundations for the long term. And this is very important. So will it become a mega brand? Probably not, but definitely becoming a more mature adolescent. This is what I thrive for. This is what I look for. And this is what the team and myself are working for, is to become a mature adolescent without the trouble, quote unquote, of an adolescent. And this is very
Yeah.
important.
Right.
But
Of course.
we'll be there for another 160 years, that's for sure.
So Benoit, my final question is the luxury item question, which I ask all my guests. So if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could only have one single luxury item with you, what would that one luxury item be? It can't be any form of air or water transportation to get you off that island, or anything that requires mobile service, so you can call somebody at LVMH to get you off that island. It's just you on this lonely island with lots of sand, palm trees, lots of ocean. What would that one single luxury item you would like to have with you?
Wow, that's a tough question. I'll tell you, but you have to tell me, Scott, as well. What's yours then afterwards?
I will. I absolutely will.
No, I'm very curious. It's not an easy answer.
I know.
What comes to my mind without thinking, is definitely my family. I travel every week. I'm far away from my family, and I'm privileged, lucky to have a great family with great kids, with a great wife, and I know it's a gift, and I'm very conscious of that. And if I'm alone, I don't think I can survive. I like to work with people. I like to be close to people. So definitely family. That's definitely close family. That's very important. But then telling you family, if this is not feasible because of any of your criteria that you've put, probably a book, and why not the Bible? Then if I want to be practical, I need to eat, so I need a fishing rod, but I would say, to answer the question, to say one definitely would be family, because family is very important for me, and I'm privileged and lucky, and I'm aware of that.
Benoit de Clerck, CEO of Zenith, thank you so much for joining me on the luxury item.
Thank you, Scott. I really had a great time, and thank you.
That's it for this episode of the Luxury Item Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you found this useful and entertaining, I would be really grateful if you can share it with a friend or colleague. I would love it if you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other listeners find us. The Luxury Item Podcast is a production of Silvertone Consulting. I'm your host, Scott Kerr. Until next time.